There are much false information about creatine on the internet that may scare beginners. There are many more myths and misconceptions about the so-called most powerful supplement, creatine, than you might imagine. Even experienced fitness enthusiasts are often misled. The first myth about creatine is that it causes hair loss. If you heard this, leave a comment. This idea originated from a 2009 study where the researchers found that in a group of college football players, the level of dihydrotestosterone, DHT, increased by 56% after taking creatine, while serum testosterone level remained unchanged. And since DHT is a key factor in male pattern baldness, it was suggested that creatine could cause hair loss. However, some argue that this is just one study among thousands on creatine and holds little significance. Fitness bloggers usually only discuss it at this level, but to truly understand the relationship between creatine and DHT, we need to analyze it deeper. The first detail to note is the study's design. There was a placebo group and a creatine group. The creatine group took 25 grams of creatine and 25 grams of glucose, while the placebo group took 50 grams of glucose for the first 7 days of the loading phase. This is quite unconventional. The correct approach may be for the creatine group to take 25 grams of creatine tablets, and for the placebo group to take 25 grams of glucose tablets. The second detail is the data itself. The placebo group's DHT levels increased from 0.98 nanomolar to 1.53 nanomolar. Normally, DHT levels in men are about 5 to 10% of total testosterone, and the normal range is 0.47 to 2.65 nanomolar. This means that the DHT levels of the participants in the creatine group were normal to start with, and a slight stimulus under the body's hormonal equilibrium mechanism could cause a significant increase, but even then, the increase was still within the normal range. Hence, this level of DHT does not directly correlate with hair loss. The most crucial point is the method used to measure DHT in the study, which was blood testing. A comprehensive 35-page review paper on DHT clearly states that blood DHT levels do not represent scalp DHT levels. DHT is usually converted from testosterone by the enzyme 5-alpha reductase in local tissues like the scalp, muscles, and prostate, and it can further be metabolized in the liver for excretion in urine. Some of DHT in tissue binds to androgen receptors and some enters the bloodstream. Therefore, an increase in blood DHT could mean that more 5-alpha reductase activity or less metabolism of DHT in tissues, leading to higher blood levels. To draw a definitive conclusion, a study should conduct biopsy of scalp tissue before and after creatine intake to measure DHT levels directly in the scalp. Also, consider this logically. An 18-year-old typically has higher testosterone levels and logically DHT levels than a 70-year-old. If high blood testosterone caused hair loss, wouldn't all 18-year-olds be bald, while 70-year-olds have full heads of hair? Hence, the idea that creatine causes hair loss is mere speculation at this point. The second myth is that creatine only helps increase muscle strength and improve athletic performance. In reality, it has two other crucial benefits. We know that the primary energy source for the human body is ATP, which breaks down into ADP and inorganic phosphate to provide energy. To replenish ATP storage from ADP, we need another inorganic phosphate. Creatine's main form in the body, phosphocreatine, provides this inorganic phosphate quickly. Beyond muscles, our brain uses 20 to 25% of body's ATP even at rest. During high-intensity mental activities like preparing for exams or writing papers, the brain requires even more ATP. A 2003 randomized double-blind study cited nearly 400 times compared the IQ and memory test scores of individuals who did not take creatine with those who did for 6 weeks. The results show that creatine intake led to a significant increase in intelligence scores and working memory. The 2022 paper indicates that creatine's memory-enhancing effects are not only beneficial for young people, but are even more pronounced in the elderly. Another lesser-known benefit of creatine is its ability to lower blood sugar levels. A 2021 review explained that a transporter protein in our blood called GLUT4 helps transport glucose from the bloodstream into cells. Creatine not only increases the number of GLUT4 proteins, but also enhances their transport rate, allowing more blood sugar to be stored as glycogen in muscles, thus lowering blood glucose level. This makes creatine one of the most versatile and powerful supplements available. However, with its popularity comes the inevitable presence of unscrupulous vendors looking to cash in. The third myth about creatine is the claim that different forms of creatine are superior to creatine monohydrate, with creatine hydrochloride being the most hyped. It is often marketed as causing less water retention, but the truth is that the water retained by creatine is mostly within the muscle cells, not subcutaneous. This water retention may promote muscle function, which is a benefit, not a drawback. A 2021 study clearly stated that no other form of creatine is as effective at increasing muscle creatine content as creatine monohydrate. Therefore, you can disregard other forms of creatine. By the basic, it is also the cheapest. The fourth misconception is that taking more than 5 grams creatine per day is a waste. This idea stemmed from the research showing that without a loading phase, taking 3 to 5 grams of creatine daily saturates muscle creatine levels after just about a month. However, most study participants weigh around 80 kilograms, not representing higher level athletes. In sports that require higher body weight, if you weigh 90 kilo or more, you may be able to take 1 or 2 grams more, if there isn't any discomfort. But for cognitive benefits, how much creatine should you take daily? A 2018 review suggested that the brain is more selective in nutrient storage than muscle, requiring higher doses for noticeable effect. A 1999 study, cited nearly 300 times, found that after taking 20 grams of creatine daily for 28 days, brain creatine levels increased by about 10%, which is slower than muscle absorption. So the amount of creatine you need depends on your goal. For athletic performance, 5 grams daily suffice for most people. For cognitive enhancement, you may need more, up to 20 grams daily. The fifth myth is that creatine should not be taken with coffee. Some popular fitness bloggers claim this, arguing that caffeine's diuretic effect conflicts with creatine's water retention. But is this true? Caffeine does increase the production of urine, so as a solution, don't forget to drink water. As long as you stay hydrated throughout the day, the diuretic effect from caffeine should not be a problem, because while you're losing more water, you're also drinking more. Within our muscle, there is a structure called sarcoplasmic reticulum that stores calcium ion. During muscle contraction, calcium ions are released, allowing actin and myosin to slide past each other, known as the sliding filament theory. Caffeine increases the release of calcium ions, but if they're not replenished quickly, muscle cramps can occur. Creatine may help replenish calcium ions faster, creating a synergistic effect. More studies are needed though to confirm this synergistic effect, but at the very least, there are no harms to taking them together. The final myth is that creatine damages the kidneys. This belief arises because creatine supplementation increases creatinine levels, but creatinine levels naturally rise with increased muscle mass and training intensity. Moreover, creatine's metabolic byproduct is creatinine. Using creatinine to calculate the glomerular filtration rate (GFR) after heavy creatine use is meaningless. A more accurate measure may be by cystatin C, which is an excellent indicator of reduced kidney function. If this indicator shows issues, further confirmation with imaging techniques like CT or MRI is needed. A 2017 review by the International Society of Sports Nutrition found no organ damage in cognitively impaired patients taking up to 30 grams of creatine daily for 5 years. Therefore, the typical doses of creatine we consume pose no harm. That concludes this video. If you think I missed anything or have any questions about creatine or other sport nutrition topics, please leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching.